Hey, folks. How's it going? We don't need that right now. This isn't final boss music time. This is chill out on a Sunday evening, hanging out with the peeps. Looking at some custom cards. How you doing? I'm seeing a random pup. I'm seeing Quilava. I'm seeing Iskander. All three of the people eager and waiting to see how their cards will match up against the Nova scale. This is just your life now. I'm sorry. It's just my life for the rest of today. That's it. All the submissions. These are the last ones. I really got to set up the weekly version of this. I really got to stop jamming this all into a single weekend. I really got to make that change. But for now, this is where we are at. Hello, everyone. Night C, thank you for stopping by. Train Lever, thank you for swinging on in. It is time for 3 more delicious batches of custom cards. I am looking forward to seeing them, and I don't think I have anything else to add to the proceedings right now. So let's go ahead and talk with our first guest. And we will see what they have to say about their cards, and we'll see what I have to say about them in turn. Guest comms. We're here. So while we're waiting, how you doing tonight? How you doing? How you doing, chat? How's it going? You hanging out? You doing good? I know I am. Scripting for the next video is around finished. I got help from Pillock to get it finished out because we are getting the 2023 release roundup all put together, and with all of it in, it is 28 pages long. For part 1. And for the record, normal videos are somewhere around 8 pages. So this is going to be some big hefty chonkers of videos. Pretty good playing through Cyberpunk because I like the game. All right, who's going first? Quilava, actually, I've got you on first for our first person. So whenever you're ready, feel free to swing on by. I believe you're the only person we'll be talking with today. Everyone else did not opt in, so it's just going to be you and me leading the crew, as it were. But if you need some time, let me know and we can talk to the other ones. Hello.
Alright, sorry about that. I didn't see the schedule if you posted it somewhere.
Oh, my apologies. If you need some time, I can go ahead and talk about someone else's really quickly.
Yeah, it's fine. I was just a little caught off guard. I'm good to go.
Awesome. Alrighty, so looking at this first page, it looks like this is an extension of a previous series of cards that you sent in. Is that correct?
Correct. This is the finale of the series. This is a sort of finale / spinoff, because based on the project that you had the original series which ended with Vera, and now you have the spinoff which includes Vera's cousin. And also another sub archetype. So yeah, the best part is when I titled everything up, it equaled 12 cards, which is exactly how many parts that project was.
Oh,
so
well, hot darn.
Beautiful. How beautiful synergies work.
Nice.
So, I'm pretty much golden whenever. Excuse me. I'm pretty much ready to go when you are, my beautiful friend.
Sounds good. Just to get everyone up to speed, do you want to let chat know about the like a quick overview of what the last series of cards were?
Yep. So, in short, what's the deal with Mask? Well, Mask is a series of warrior monsters that normally revolve around a set of ritual summoning your big towers monster that is Vera, the Mask goddess, and basically all the Mask cards work in synergy. They got a field spell, they have searchers, they have amazing back row, and their monsters punch big, and they're big FTK enablers, and they are not balanced whatsoever, and I love them.
Hell yeah! So also, great Nova impression. It's like I was listening to his video right there.
Who's GoldenNova? He sounds handsome.
Don't stop! Oh, anyway, so let me go to get the timer started, and we will begin with Princess the Prim Mask Torch, a level 4 Fire Warrior monster with 1700 attack and 1500 defense. And you can special summon this card from your hand if you control a masked card. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a mask, spell, or trap card from your deck to your hand. And if this card is in your graveyard, as a quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, and if you do, one mask monster you control gains the following effect. If that monster declares an attack, send all spell and trap cards your opponent controls to the graveyard. If that monster attacks a defense position monster, inflict double piercing battle damage.
Mm-hmm.
So, free summon, searches us on free summon, and then when you send it away for presumably a ritual summon, though it could be anything really.
Remember that the lead monster is 1 level 4 or higher mass monster.
Oh, well, gee, it seems we've hit all of the conditions for that. It then turns your mask monster into an absolute combat monstrosity.
Yep.
Fantastic.
So, this is Vera's cousin, so of course Vera already does piercing damage when you have the right setups. So now this is just Chaos Max Dragon on crack. So it has 44,000 attack base.
Yeah, that is going to close out the game pretty effectively, I should say.
I will say I made this a little stronger because this thing literally was originally just delinquent mask, but I added the special summon effect and also the bonuses. Like, this is the second wave, and she's the second main character, so of course she's stronger.
Of course,
because she's related to Vera.
You gotta power creep it to sell those packs.
Yeah, sell them packs. Stack that paper.
Get that money.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a bag over there? You go grab that bag.
Okay.
All right, cool. Enjoy. In the meantime, let's talk about Mask Ignition, a level 4 Fire Warrior monster with 1500 attack and 1000 defense, and if this card is sent to the graveyard or is banished by a card effect, you can special summon this card to your field, and if you do, reveal a Mask monster from your hand or extra deck, then inflict damage to your opponent equal to 200 times the level of the revealed monster.
Mm-hmm. So, friendly reminder, Vera is level 12, and all the others are level 4, so you're burning for quite a bit, depending on what you reveal.
That's 2,400 damage.
Yep.
That's
But don't worry though, I slapped a hard once per turn on this because screw me if I'm going to enable the next burn deck.
Oh well, thank you, I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Next is there they are, Sarah the Unwavering Mask Torch. A level 10 Fire Warrior fusion monster with 4,000 attack and 3,800 defense, requiring Princess the Prim, Mask Torch, and any warrior monster as material. You can only control one copy of this card, must first be fusion summoned by a mask card's effect, and this card cannot be destroyed or targeted by your opponent's card effects. Also, it cannot be tributed. This card can make up to 3 attacks on monsters during each battle phase, and if you control Princess the Prim, Mask Torch, or it's in your graveyard, this card gains the following effects. It is unaffected by your opponent's monster and activated effects, and you can send a mask card from your hand or deck to the graveyard to shuffle a card your opponent controls into the deck. Mm-hmm. Is that a third? Is this be a third bullet?
Yeah, I don't know why Google Docs did the... Yeah, sorry.
Okay, third effect. You can banish a mask card from your hand or graveyard until the end of your opponent's next turn. This card gains 1,000 attack for each mask card you control and is in your graveyard.
Yep.
Okay.
So...
Yeah, please, take the lead on this one, because I'm at a loss for words.
I made sure Brandon can't have it, because, again, as much as I love my beautiful dragons and the monstrosities they are, I am not giving Brandon an FTK enabler, because it said must be first be fusion summoned by a mask card's effect. So Lubellion can't touch this. So, yeah. It makes 3 attacks. I love C62, and it's also because Sarah's actually a track and field runner, so it's like the 3 legs of a race: beginning, middle, start, etc.
Oh, okay.
And so the graveyard effects is just to give something on par with Vera's. Except Sarah's easier to make, but because it's a fusion. But yeah, I thought I'd give it on par stats and abilities that Vera had.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it. You've made a monster that, on the surface, is already immune to a lot of interactions, including being kaiju'd. And then out of nowhere, once you have the princess, it's all like, oh yeah, and also it is just a towers now.
Except any non-targeting removal gets rid of it, unless princess is chilling. But yeah, it's still a big monster.
Oh yeah, once princess is chilling, then it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Though I guess, we do have cards like, called by. We should be able to find a way to get rid of this. right?
Called by D
Maybe.
Crow, because I did make sure it's not a light or dark, so you can't steal them for your life savings, but
No.
you can still DD Crow them,
Hmm.
or dimension shifter. I don't know what that was about. She's great. I love her.
Dimension Shifter is easily one of the cards that I've had the biggest change of opinion on from release to now.
Says the person who also included as a tech pick in one of your videos a few months ago.
Just because I hate it does not mean it's not effective.
I know.
Everyone famously knows that I am an impartial judge of all things Yu-Gi-Oh related, and I would never put something like, I don't know, a desk bot at the top of any kind of tier list. There's no way. I would never do this.
Are you gonna ignore the Christian Halky dead pile of bones over there?
Okay, so Mask Fusion, normal spell card. Fusion summons a Mask Fusion monster from your extra deck by using fusion material from your hand or field. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck, except Mask monsters, for the rest of the turn after this card resolves. You can banish this card from your graveyard, except the turn it was sent to the graveyard, to shuffle any number of Mask monsters from your banished zone and graveyard into the deck to draw cards equal to the amount of cards shuffled into the deck. Oh, okay.
It can be Ash. Don't you worry.
Oh yeah. I hope that the drawing effect can be ashed. Otherwise, we have a problem.
Yeah, no, don't worry. It's like, I mean, even if you ash it, your opponent, you technically didn't go next because all the cards went back to the deck. So you still have ways to search everything, but it's like if you ash it, that's still gonna hurt. And also because you shuffled cards from your grave, Ceradan can't use some of her effects.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Though it does shuffle any number, so you can choose to just keep the ones that help you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sure.
That's a.
Yeah. Like I said, I wanted to make her on par with Vera, but arguably stronger, but at the same time on par because Sarah is a fusion where Vera is a ritual.
So, well, I think you accomplished it because this card is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. I was originally going to make it basically branded fusion, but then I saw I will say politely, the fits that people have been throwing about branded fusion on the Discord. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna be part of the problem. I'll just make it an in-engine polymerization.
You should summon from the deck. Oh, whatever. None of you were saying this when Shaddoll Fusion was around.
Because okay, no, I mean I will defend branded for my life, but
exactly.
Fusion's so much easier to activate than Shaddoll Fusion.
Yeah, it's called power creep. It was gonna happen eventually.
That's what I've been saying too, but I'm not gonna say it out loud.
Look, I'm not out here decrying Drytron for ritual summoning using attack points, okay? Things change.
I am.
Roll with it. Okay, well, you do you. That's fine. That's not me. Okay, well, yeah, these are you said you didn't care if these were balanced, and you were not kidding. These cards are supremely powerful, incredibly destructive. Is there anything that we have missed out talking about this? Is there anything that we haven't had a chance to discuss about these?
You don't want to play Fusion deployment because it locks you out of Mass Rebellion and Freedom. So Fusion Depot is not a... I mean, depending on how you want to play it, but considering that Mass Rebellion is just is another body on board and is 2700 attack with the field spell, you do not want to lock yourself out of the Link Monster.
Mass Rebellion isn't the ritual, is it?
No, that's fair. Mass Rebellion's the Link one.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So, Fusion Depot is not a thing. I mean, you technically can play branded. Because Titaniclad, branded Fusion can send Vera to the grave by summoning Titaniclad. But it's mostly supposed to be its own deck. You can have engines, but it's like, just play the mass stuff and you're golden. Excuse me, you're good.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Don't get the people confused here. Okay, well, yeah, that's a pretty snazzy suite of cards. Shall I move on to the Nova scale, or is there anything else that we want to make sure that we cover?
I made sure not to give any of these lovely ladies rekindling targets, or rekindling stats, because, yeah.
Because that would be too much.
I have standards.
Come on. I also like that it means that we can tech in just about all of the wonderful new Fire Warrior support that's been coming out over the past couple of years.
I have unintentionally turned into the Fire guy at the end of the last year, but I've yet to play any of those Fire decks, 7 and Great or Fire Formation or Fire Kings. Monday.
Konami,
One day.
please let the Flame Swordsman cards be good. Please let the Flame Swordsman cards be good. Please let the Flame Swordsman cards be good.
That's really about it. These were a lot of fun to make, and yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right, go ahead, Nova. Feel free to roast these poor ladies.
Alrighty, I'm ready for roasting. As was what I would say, but I do need to take a couple of seconds to thank Shauna Hart for gifting 2 Tier 1 subs, continuing this generosity streak. Thank you so much. Caitlin Feginator and Jamster Jam, I hope you enjoy your time in the Deskbot squad. Alright, now, let's talk about novelty. So, Prim. I think we did a breakdown saying all the things that it does using other cards as reference points for it. So we know that Prim is kind of used card design there. So we've got that. Mask Ignition is kind of wild because it's a free summon without any kind of restriction as far as I can tell that enables burn.
It's just a mask name tragedy, except without the spell trap recovery. That's how I designed it.
Yeah, it's a free level 4 warrior that you just get to have back when it goes to graveyard. So that's
or banished.
Or banished. You're right. We could Gold Sark this. So that's, I don't think I've seen a monster that revives and then the drawback is that your opponent gets burned for it. Wait, did I say drawback? I mean the exact.
You mean victory, baby? Wait.
And it's always going to do 2,400 damage, because you can reveal from the extra. Ain't no way I'm revealing a level 4 from hand when my third copy of Sarah is, or not Sarah. Okay, I guess the in hand would be the ritual if it's 10, but otherwise, I'm revealing Sarah for 2,000 damage. Like, that's gonna happen. Okay, so Sarah is just big, just untouchable in its power level.
I will say that's a reference to one of the community members before everything went sour on my end with them. But yeah, that's why she's so huge. Shoutouts to those guys, or those also wonderful ladies, even if we don't talk anymore.
And then Mask Fusion it's like just regular polymerization. Like, it doesn't give you any additional like utility on the front end. But then the backhand is just refill your entire hand again.
Yeah, but like I said, I made sure that you can't just drop Mass Fusion and then instantly go like +3 because you have to pass turn.
Yeah, you'll need to at least have one of the mask monsters in your hand to use. So, as far as novelty goes, I think we're sitting at about a 2. There's a little new stuff here. Outside of that, we're seeing usual card design being used to express stuff for this story, but we have seen it mechanically. Objectivity, Jesus
Christ.
Anything,
I'll take that one.
Every card that I read here was more of a war crime than the last one. Congratulations, good job. I'm awarding you a 1 in objectivity. Purely because of how ridiculously strong this is. Like, this does require specific cards. This is true. It does not help that all of those specific cards are part of a type that has been the most, if not second most, supported type in the game. An attribute that is now getting a lot of attention now, considering Infernobles, Fire King, all that nonsense is around. Your enabling monster turns your fusion or your ritual into double piercing multi-attackers that remove cards and deal damage, and Mask Fusion might as well read, have a pot of greed on top of what you're normally doing.
Yeah! I have no shame.
Hey, and good for you. Thumbs up. Live that life. And because of how powerful it is, I think a lot of decks would love to run these. It is true that we do have some locks here, but Mask Fusion is actually very, very lenient because it is a for the rest of the turn clause.
Yep,
So
I
we
made
could
sure
play
because
this in any Fire Warrior deck. We could search out our component pieces, and then like this is searchable by I think King Dempsey. Any level 4 monsters grab Princess. At that point, all you need is a mask card, and then you're off to the bloody races.
it's a Rhoda target, it's a Sangan target, it's a Witch of the Black Forest target, it's the field spell target, it's yeah.
So a lot of decks would want to run this, so I'm gonna give it a 4. Huge boss monster, lots of draws, yes please. And then an awesomeness, yeah, they're goated. It's so cool. The absolute shameless dedication to raw immense power for a masked ball. Beautiful. I love it. Crush it.
Not bad for the ladies who can kick your ass with your burn damage or just unalive your life points as quick as humanly possible.
You know, it doesn't look like a pair of stiletto heels can do double piercing battle damage, but you haven't been hit by a pair of stiletto heels yet, so you know.
You also have never been hit by freaking cleats by runner spikes either.
God, cleats. That brings me back to my childhood soccer days. No, we're not doing a flashback right now. It's not the time. All right, well, Frankie, thank you so much for showing these off. I super appreciate it.
Thank you. Hopefully either this month or next month. My artist is currently unavailable right now because she's dealing with family stuff. But I will come with you with more beautiful anime girl cards. But it's gonna be great.
Hey, it's always a treat whenever that artist shows up. But it's always a treat no matter what when you're involved. So thank you again, and I will talk to you later. All right.
Yep. Later. Bye.
Oh, these cards are so busted. They're so busted. All right, I'm gonna catch up on chat a little bit as I had a chance to talk to everyone. Personally, think that Ritual was incorrectly designed from the beginning. I think that is so true. They did not know what they were doing when they were making Rituals, and now everything has to be bent over backwards to make it work. Oh, I should that was a 12 on the Nova scale, by the way. That was a 12. Just got my first Cartesia. Ooh, congrats! Enjoy your Cartesia. I hope you too fusion summon a whole lot. Sorry, I'm late at work. Oh, no, you're good. You're good. Hey, thank you for stopping by, and thank you again for the gifty subs. Holy cow. You once again, huge. Thank you. Or Griffin, I made some custom cards. If I knew about this, I would join. Well, it's not the end. Well, I guess it's the end of this month. And by this month, I mean last month, because this is the makeup for December. But if you want to join the Patreon, this is something I do for all of my patrons, $5 tier or higher. Just join in, and then at the end of the month, I'll put out a little form for everyone to fill out, and then you can be a part of it. Yes, Canada, to be fair, it was early in the game. And you're right, it was early in the game. It does make sense that not every piece of card design is going to fit. The fact that they have kept forcing the issue since its inception, instead of retooling the mechanic, is probably what the biggest issue is there. And the longer they keep it without fundamentally changing or changing the fundamentals of it, the harder it gets to change it. Because so many cards are built on top of it that whatever rules change you might make to rituals is necessarily going to have a knock-on effect on all of them. And some of them are just going to become completely unplayable, no matter what you do to change the mechanic. I've had Brandis since Despia first got released, so finally getting the Cartesia is nutty. Not gonna lie though, wish it was Quem. That is fair. Quem is such a I got to play with Quem in paper for the first time, like during the Fort Worth regionals last month, and it is a whole new thing. I've gotta look up the Scarlon list for Synchro branded. I'm letting you know, I'm getting kind of tired of Fusion branded right now. There is so many restrictions you have to play around to play that deck that way, but I dueled against someone who was playing Bestial Synchro, and oh my god, the things you can do with that deck. I want Bestial Dispater. I didn't think that card was going to be that good. I thought it was going to be ass. It was not ass. It was decidedly not ass. That card is bonkers. I mentioned I'm feeling 95, 97% better, as you can tell by the energy. That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad your energy has erupted. Dogmatically needs a kind of protection that isn't from the extra deck. Yeah, but that's like their whole... That's their whole deal. If you take that away, then what's the point? Actually, pretty funny how y'all were talking about Shaddolls too, because I actually run branded Despia Shaddolls. No Bestials. I refuse to play Bestials. I don't want to jump on the bandwagon. Ah, well, hey, adding the Shaddolls is pretty cool. Because that's window access, and we love window access. It's like puppet locking, but with fundamental difference. Alrighty. That's enough jabbering away from me. Let's go ahead and talk about our next person's cards. Z-Man. The Iskander has brought in the San Bosco archetype. So let's go ahead and get started. And Iskander, of course, if you have anything to add in, please feel free to send it in chat. And it can clarify anything that we run into, just in case. Hey, Commander, how's it going? All right, so San Bosco. We now delve into the Azure Court's rival, San Bosco's Hospital, or just San Bosco. Another teen gang that gained grassroots support from the slums of Port Regal. While they seem to be doing good, rumors of their use of dark magic are rampant, along with their pervasive attacks on upper-class citizens to fund their work. Oh, that's wild, because I want to say that they're based because they're redistributing the wealth from the upper class, but at the same time they're using the downtrodden for black magic experiments. Ooh. Oh, we're gonna have to investigate. It's not enough. Oh, it's not enough. Oh, for those of you who are not aware, this is a continuation of Iskander's continuing archetypes for their own personal cards that also tie in with Magic Key, if I remember correctly, and Sky Blasters. We are delving into another aspect of the Port Regal setting. And etymology, John Bosco is the patron saint of magicians. Oh, I'm looking that guy up. I'm looking that guy up after this is done. San Bosco is a hospital run by a teen gang that utilizes voodoo magic to heal their patients and hex their enemies. So it's a hospital of witch doctors. San Bosco Hospital. San Bosco's hospital for the weak and weary. A bastion for the poor and a place of woe for the rich, with the gang running it growing stronger by the day. Note, sorry for all the text. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Alright. This card can only be played if Port Regal is on the field. At the start of your turn, place a voodoo counter on this card for each San Bosco or Dark Spellcaster monster on your side of the field. When a monster your opponent controls is destroyed or banished, place 2 voodoo counters. If they were level 4 or lower, if they were 5 or above, add counters equal to their level. If the monster was a link or exceeds, place counters equal to 3 times their link rating or rank. Anytime you deal effect damage, gain life points equal to the damage your opponent takes. Once per turn, you can remove 3 counters from this card to add a card from your graveyard to your hand. Oh, just any card. Okay, alright. No cards. Absolutely. More text means more things. Okay, so essentially, under a number of circumstances, you gain counters. And the counters don't do anything on their own. But it does mean also that you get to drain life points whenever you deal burn damage. And once per turn, you can remove 3 of those counters to get a card from your grave. Any card. Now, you can get like a million counters on this thing, but it looks like the power level is kind of peaked by the fact that it's a hard once... I guess not a hard once per turn. You can only grab it out of your grave once per turn. Though, it doesn't say you can't play multiple of these, and... okay, it doesn't have to pull the counters from itself, so... You would need to... You can't share them, like with how Bushido counters usually do. But... It's not a hard once per turn across copies. You could recover a lot of cards. Okay. Mephi Laveau, head nurse of San Bosco. Head nurse of San Bosco, was put into this position by his mother to keep an eye on his older brother, in possession of a mysterious teddy bear that he got from his brother. It is a level 4 Dark Spellcaster monster with 1,000 attack and defense and a scale of 1. As a pendulum spell, when this monster is in the pendulum zone, spellcaster monsters you control are immune to your opponent's spell card effects. It also can be used for fusion or link summoning from the pendulum zone. When monsters are special summoned by this monster, gain 3 voodoo tokens for each monster pendulum summon. Is that supposed to be counters? And if so, where do the counters go? As a monster, if this monster is used as material for a special summon, that monster becomes immune to your opponent's spell card effects. Any battle damage this card inflicts to your opponent is treated as effect damage instead. Now, I like that. That combos with the field spell, and it drains the life points. Link summoning. Okay, so we place it in the pendulum zone. All our spellcasters are unaffected by our opponent's spell effects. We can use this material while it's in the zones. Special summoned by this monster. Now, for this effect, are we talking about like when you pendulum summon while this card is in the scale? Is that how the counters are made? And once again, do those counters go to the San Bosco continuous spell, or is it something else? In general, though, this is pretty solid. I mean, just being able to be used as material in the Pend Zone makes for great utility, and being a scale 1 is a pretty good scale. Okay, next is Beru's mascot of San Bosco. Created by their mother for Jean and later given to Mephi, this teddy bear has been in the Laveau family for 11 years, but beneath its benign appearance lies a dangerous secret. It's a level 4 Dark Spellcaster monster with 0 attack and defense and a scale of 5, so if that's the hard cap, we're looking to stay pretty low to the ground on our monster levels. Pendulum effect. When this monster is in the pendulum zone, spellcaster monsters you control are immune to your opponent's trap card effects. So we've got a lot of coverage there. It also can be used for fusion summoning from the pendulum zone, but not link summoning. If this monster is used as material for a special summon, that monster becomes immune to your opponent's trap card effects. If this monster is used to special summon a fire or dark attribute monster, it is treated as 2 monsters for the summon. You can only use this effect once per turn. Okay. So if you fuse, link, sync, any of that stuff, it counts as 2 monsters. And the counters go to the hospital. Okay. Alrighty, next we have Matron's Binding Ritual, a quick play spell card. Oh, actually, I need to double check here. This looks like we have a lot of cards here, and I need to make sure that I'm sticking to the specific ones on the list so that we don't miss out on the important ones. Weary, Head Nurse Beers. Okay, Jean Laveau, Head Doctor. Let's go ahead and Jean Laveau, Head Doctor of San Bosco. Here we go. The head doctor himself, he learned of magic from his mother and sought its study in a more scientific manner. 3 years later, he founded San Bosco's hospital to study voodoo magic and use for the people. The upper class, he's the devil, but to the poor, he's a messiah. Okay. You know, as long as he's, I can kind of see that, like, oh, they're using dark magic, they must be brought to heal, is definitely a story that rich people would tell. I think maybe the San Boscos are actually on the up and up. I think they're good. That's good. Okay. So, Jean Laveau requires 3 monsters, including a San Bosco. It is a Link 3 Dark Spellcaster with 2,500 attack. When this card is link summoned to the field, special summon from the graveyard, or pendulum monsters from the face-up extra deck, up to 3 dark or spellcaster monsters to open monster zones you control that this monster points to. If the monster would be a pendulum monster, you can choose to put them in the pendulum zone instead. While this link summoned card is on the field, all monsters level 5 or above, links, or exceeds lose 200 attack and defense for each voodoo counter you have on San Bosco's hospital for the weak and weary. Remove 5 counters, negate your opponent's monster effects until the end of your turn. Any battle damage this card inflicts to your opponent is treated as effect damage instead. So there's more of that life point gain synergy with the continuous spell card. This card is outrageous. This card is ridiculously busted. So it's a Link 3, and it does require 3 monsters. You can't cheat on the cost here, but only one has to be a San Bosco, and we know of one that can be used in the scale, so you don't even have to field it on the board. Or you don't have to use an effect to get it onto the board. So get 2 other monsters, link it off with that, you make this. It becomes immune to spell effects by doing that. So it gets add that on top of everything else. Grabs generically dark or spellcaster monsters from either your grave or face-up extra deck. And when it comes to darks and or spellcasters, boy do pendulums have a embarrassment of riches. Hey, the game has a ridiculous amount of dark monsters in general to summon off of this. So that's really powerful. Debuffs a bunch of monsters. Is a non-targeting monster negation. This card is wild. Frankly, it's wild. Oh, and we can use this as material just in case we want to go into access code. Just in case, just saying. I thought the monsters in the Pendulum Zone can't be used as link material if it's in the Pendulum Zone. Normally they can't, but Mephi does have that specific part of their text. It can also be used as fusion or link summoning from the Pendulum Zone. So that's a special quality for them. Okay. Okay, here's that Magic Key stuff I was talking about earlier. Magic Key Unbound Beast Berserking. The true form of Beers, the teddy bear! Oh no! To the demon itself, the stuffed bear is a cage and collar that traps and controls him. Now he burns with hatred at the god that cast him down, and the king he feels betrayed him. No, this is the first Switch monster, a monster where you select the effect that it has each time it's summoned. Okay. It requires any 3 monsters as material, so, Super Polymerization just got the biggest buff of its entire life. This card is always treated as a San Bosco monster. If this monster is special summoned, select one of the 2 effects below. That becomes its main effect for as long as it stays on the field. This card is immune to your opponent's monster effects, which you just get no matter what. A, destroy every spell and trap card on your opponent's field up to the number of different normal monsters with different attributes in your graveyard. Your opponent then takes 500 damage for each card destroyed. You can only use this effect once per turn, so this is an activated effect. Incredible. Or, this monster becomes a dark spellcaster. This monster gains 100 attack and defense for each counter on San Bosco's Hospital for the Weak and Weary. Any battle damage this card inflicts to your opponent is treated as effect damage instead. Alright. If this archetype was more fleshed out, it would have a focus on recovering monsters from either player's graveyard and effect destruction, that later effect being the main weakness of the theme. Where do we go from here? Well, I kind of want to return to the Sky Blaster storyline, and I have a general idea for what it starts. I will connect with Berserking and another archetype, so keep an eye out for... Uh-oh! Uh-oh! Looks a little... evil. Evil. Okay, really quickly, we have these other 2 cards that we didn't get to. Let's run through these really, really quickly. So, Matron's Binding Ritual. This card is always treated as a San Bosco card. When your opponent would special summon a monster from the extra deck while you control a spellcaster monster, negate its effects and reduce its attack points to 0. Okay, so if you have a spellcaster, bop it. It's just completely negated. 11 years ago, a giant flaming bear demon crashed into Port Royal. Chaos ensued until a fortune teller, Marie Laveau, came along and, unknown to the masses, sealed it within a stuffed bear. That bear would go on to be cared for by her 2 sons, only to be released in dire situations. The art being Marie sealing the demon inside of beers. Okay. And then San Bosco Bear Toss. Fusion summon a San Bosco monster using materials on the field or in the hand. Okay, that's just a little fusion spell. That's not too bad. Lore. Whenever Mephi is threatened or surrounded by enemies and there are no other options, Mephi throws beers into the air and undoes the binding. Only Mephi knows what happens after. Because everyone else dies. They're gone. Vanished. Okay, well. that's a pretty cool little grouping of cards. I'm not gonna lie. I like the idea of the design, and I do like treating damage as effect damage and then using that effect damage as a way to heal life points. I think that's pretty freaking nifty. I think it's about time we moved on to the Nova scale. Iskander, if there's anything to add, of course, feel free to send it in the chat, and we'll see if that informs the decision making. Get bared, you gremlins. Okay, novelty. Yeah, so we have seen decks that care about using counters beforehand, but we've never seen a deck that has the courage to make battle damage into effect damage, and then being able to use that as like life drain. We're effectively life draining our opponent. We could have up to 16,000 life points in a game against our opponent with this deck, and I think it's pretty good. That's pretty nifty. I'm never giving this a 3 in novelty. I honestly wish we had done more with that concept. I saw that you said at the bottom, like, if there was more time, there would be more to it. I'd like to see the more fleshed out version, to be honest. Aside from our battle damage turning into effect damage on some of these monsters, we don't get to use... There wasn't any, like, direct damage cards as far as I could remember. This does mean that it pairs well with generic cards that do burn damage. That is true. And maybe that would factor into deck building for like a real deck, but I feel like the theme itself doesn't really lean into that very much to earn more than a 3 on that one at the time, because the rest of the stuff is kind of our usual spellcaster pendulum. Gain a bunch of advantage, beat up our opponent with all that advantage, and then the counter stuff is a little reminiscent of the 6 Sams, but like I don't know how much more you do with counters after 6 Sams. So 3 on novelty. Objectivity. This I'm a little scared of. From the problem-solving card text angle, there are a few things to tune up here. Obviously, tokens need to be called counters because tokens are a whole other mechanic in the game. Being immune to cards isn't the correct terminology. You would say something like unaffected by your opponent's spell effects. I guess you would, no, it's just that. Like, you would say unaffected by. Bayers having a thing that gives an additional effect to another monster as a spell. I think that stuff has to be on the monster effect end, because that's how it's always been for that kind of stuff. A lot of stuff in that regard tends to be in the monster end section, but I realized that turns it into an effect monster, and we wanted to keep it as a normal monster. I'm not sure how we fix that. Maybe this isn't even an issue, because there's nothing saying that can't be the case. It can still track that when being used as material as a spell card, but that's just kind of the things going through my head on that one. Aside from that, boy howdy, is Jean Laveau really powerful. I can see a lot of decks, as I said while we were doing the initial appraisal, a lot of decks just running Mephi as a way to fulfill the material requirements for Jean Laveau. If they are a dark deck or a spellcaster deck or both, they are going to be running this. They may not even run the Port Regal stuff. They may not even play the San Bosco continuous spell card. Just doing this, link summoning it, and getting 3 monsters back on top of it is phenomenal. If you wanted to go a little extra, you could play the San Bosco and Port Regal cards so that you could obtain the counters so you get the negate, but it's not necessary. So I think my objectivity is about also a 3 here. I'm worried about the power level on there. We could tune up the problem-solving card text, but very strong stuff going on here. To say nothing of the fact that, oh, that wasn't supposed to spin that way. There we go, timer's back. The fact that, as stated previously, this is a super polymerization target that takes any 3 monsters, so I think this might even scoop up face-down monsters, because without any qualifiers, it's not like they have to check anything for it, so you could use your opponent's face down monsters with Super Poly with this, because it's a monster while in the monster zone. You get to scoop those up. You get a monster that is on its own already unaffected by your opponent's monster's effects, has a great stat line, and has two very good variable effects. And if you're not playing the San Bosco stuff, you can just pick this. Granted, you will need to have the normal monsters in graveyard with different attributes to take advantage of that effect, so there's that. But yeah, pretty good. Isn't Super Polymerization the one state it needs face-up monsters? No, it just says fusion summon using monsters on either player's field. Now, in general, you can't fusion summon with your opponent's face-down cards, because information about that card is private knowledge. Even if you knew about it previously, it becomes private knowledge, and you can't use your opponent's cards if there's a specification on there that is hidden information knowledge. You're not allowed to. So you can't Super Poly generally with your opponent's face down monsters, because it has to check for like something, like being a dark monster or an effect monster or a particular name or type or any of that. But a face down monster is still a monster no matter what, so that's pretty good. So 3 in objectivity. Now, because a lot of my objectivity issues come from the fact that you can splashes in a lot of things, though, it's getting a 4 in versatility. A lot of decks are playing Super Poly targets even if they are not a fusion deck. As long as your deck allows for it, you're playing it. People are playing stuff like Guilty Gearfried to get around Infernoble stuff nowadays. So this is easily going to be added in there. Jean Laveau is going to be a staple in any Dark or Spellcaster deck, no matter what. The rest of these cards are, like, even these two, these give their effects of protection against spells and traps to spellcasters in general. So spellcaster decks, even if they're not pendulums, though, you know, really, if you're playing a spellcaster deck, you're going to be running these because Beers keeps your monster safe from Imperm, and Mephi keeps it safe from a bunch of spell stuff. So these are very versatile. I gotta give it a 4. You can play this in a ton of stuff. And then lastly, awesomeness. Yeah, it's in 5. I love the world building that you've set on this one. I like the idea of a hospital run by dark magic that is the antithesis to rich people. It is like, as someone who is very only cursory knowledge of this field, so my apologies for any misconstruing, but witchcraft has always been, like an actual culture, a clash against established systems like the upper class. It has always been about putting the power to heal and construct and build in the hands of the everyday person, and the fact that we have an archetype of magicians dedicated to that, and I hope to God there's not like a secret like underpinning that they're actually the bad guys. This is awesome. I love it. This is great. Clap. 100%. I'm down with this. It's awesome. I dig it. This is getting a 15 on the Nova scale from me. Excellent work on this one. You should be proud of yourself, Iskander. This is some wild stuff. That bear's kind of base. This bear, it is the most based bear. Dogmatica. Yeah, Dogmatica. F those Jesus wizards. That's not fair. Jesus would not condone anything that the Dogmatica do. We can call them Catholic wizards. There we go. Alrighty. Well, thank you again, Iskander. Thank you again, Z-Man. Looking forward to the next one. Who doesn't love a flame bear? Who doesn't? Did he just say Jesus wizards? Yeah, and I immediately regretted it. It really should just be Catholic wizards. Look, if I get to play a deck where I get to summon Tibbers, I'm a happy man. Tibbers is the best. Loving the lore and considering Yu-Gi-Oh has the penchant to show that darkness doesn't equal evil, San Bosco can truly be just outright good. Exactly. Exactly. Goddamn, that's even worse. Yeah, there we go. Jesus was a necromancer. Changed my mind. Are you a necromancer if you revive yourself, or did you just have auto raise cast? He's on that respawn time. Look, if you are playing the Roman Empire raid and you do not put auto raise on your cleric, you're doing a bad job. Make sure you are casting them. They need help too. Jerry's got a 2,000 channel point redeem. I have an order for icy wieners. Do we got an icy wieners in chat today? I'm looking for some icy wieners. A 3-day respawn timer isn't bad in real life. I mean, compared to everyone else's respawn timer, that's like a snap of the fingers. Can't believe Jerry spent their own hard-earned channel points just to get me to do a Mo Sizzliak bit. To do a Bart Simpson prank call. I can't believe it. What is happening? What is going on? Anyway, a random pup has submitted our last series of cards for this month, and by this month I mean last month's custom card reviews. Let's take a look at the centrals. RJ, thank you so much for raiding in. Holy cow! Thank you so much. How's it going? Was it an I Challenge You day or something else? Going great. Started a new Master Duel Challenge. Oh, okay. All right. One sec. It's not letting me shout out like it's supposed to. You. How dare you? Twitch, work with me. God damn it. God damn it. There we go. Finally, it has been fixed. Folks, make sure you go give RJ a look. RJ. Awesome person. What is the Master Duel challenge that you have that you have submitted yourself to this time? What strange creation have you subjected yourself to? All right, then we have another channel point redeem from Night C. Paging I am handsome. Paging I am handsome. Are you I am handsome? Are you handsome over there? You look like a handsome. That's my favorite Mo prank call. Alrighty, so yeah, Raiders, thank you all so much for stopping by. We are doing custom card reviews. This is the last one for this month, and by this month I mean from last month, because I'm very up to date on my things that I do for my patrons. I'm always on time, as we have established. We're going to be doing the next part of a Random Pups Central archetype, a story multi-generationally told about two mechanics looking to serve their kingdom and being betrayed when their machines are more of a use in the hands of the aristocracy than in the hands of the people. Let's see. What do they have to share this time? I have to Control F because we have so many cards to look through. Shoal the Fallen. Okay, we're going to start here from part 2. Shoal the Fallen. Let's go ahead and get this timer reset, and let's go. Shoal is a level 4 Dark Warrior effect pendulum monster with 0 attack and defense and a scale of 4. It says effect, but the card text seems to be flavor text, so maybe it's a normal monster. Card text. Or let's start with the pendulum effect, because it's the top of the card. While in the pendulum zone, when a central trap card is activated, place a final plan counter on this card. If this card has 20 final plan counters on it, remove all the counters on this card and set a final plan Zugzwang in your spell and trap zone from your hand or deck, then destroy this card. Once per turn, this card cannot be destroyed by card effects while in the pendulum zone. Which I presume would help itself to stay on the field when using the placing effect. I proved this to everybody. Hey, it's all good. Stuff slips through the crack. Okay, card text. Useless scraps. I always have a backup plan. Hold on to your memories, as they will be the only thing to keep you sane for the next millennium. Farah. That was her name. I know you wouldn't have wanted this, Farah. Find some way to forget. Oh. Alright, next up is Central Beast, Magnum Opus. A rank 7 Dark Xyz machine monster with 1,000 attack and defense, requiring 2+ machine monsters as material. I guess my question would be, does it require 2 level 7 machine monsters as per the usual Xyz rules, or does it bypass that requirement? Because if so, a who doggy. This card gains 1,000 attack and defense for each Xyz material that's attached to this card. Once per turn, you can target a machine monster or a central trap card on the field, hand, or graveyard. This card gains the effects of each central beast card with a different name that's attached to this card. 1 or more, once per turn, this card cannot be destroyed by card effects. 2, once per turn, you can detach a material, then target a card on the field and destroy it. 3, once per turn, you can detach all the materials on this card, negate all cards on your opponent's field, and change all monsters your opponent controls to attack position, and change their attack to 0. You can only control 1 copy of this card. Once per turn, you can target a machine or field. I have to assume that this effect attaches the targeted card to this card as material. Because otherwise it just targets and doesn't do anything. And it seems like it would synergize with the idea that it gains the effects of cards attached to it. Or at least Central Beasts specifically, which should all be machine types to synergize with that one. I wonder if there are Central Beast trap cards. I forget if that's the case. You'll have to remind me if that's the case. But assuming that that is the case, assuming it just takes any 2 machine monsters and it doesn't care about the level, this is extremely splashable. You're not going to be gaining the additional effects of cards if you're not playing it in a Central Beast deck. But off the bat, it's already going to get the 1+ to keep it safe from card effects once per turn. And it's also going to have the removal effect as well. But if you're able to attach just 1 more card, you can 0 out your opponent's entire field. That's true. That's right. I'm ad player by card rating A. No, it's all good. It's all good. Now, question though. The attaching is one thing. That's the one thing. And I think that's what you were clarifying. Does the materials for Magnum Opus have to be level 7 to match the rank, or is that also just generic on levels? There's also 2+, so we could just take any 3 machines and stack them together and just immediately negate our opponent's entire board. That is super splashable. If this ignores levels, I can see every machine deck running this. For sure. Okay. Next up is Final Plange Vushtvong. Continuous trap card. This card cannot be set to the field except by the effect of Shull the Fallen. If you have 4 Central Beast cards with different names in your graveyard and 15 non-Central Beast trap cards in your graveyard, you can activate this card. During your next standby phase after this card is activated, send this card to the graveyard and win the duel. While this card is face up on the field, this card cannot be destroyed, and the effect of this card cannot be negated. Woof. Also level 7, which is why all non-Central Beast Central traps are level 7. Okay, so it still has to be 7s. Okay, good. Okay, so we have to have the 4 Beast cards, different names, and 15 non-Sentinel trap cards in the graveyard. So there's just a ton of cards in the graveyard. Once we get to 19 cards of this particular type in the graveyard, this is active, and then it has to stick around until the next standby phase after this card is activated. Though, to be fair, you could activate this during an end phase, and then all your opponent will have is that end phase, the draw phase, and the standby phase. So this is almost immediately going to win you the game, unless your opponent has interaction at that point, which itself cannot be destruction removal or negation. It has to be banishing, removal, or like set to the top of the deck or something. It's an auto win condition, but it does seem very difficult to put together, so I think it's a pretty valid alt win condition. Alright, Central Beast Longshot. Continuous trap card. If you have 3 central continuous traps and a Dark Warrior Pendulum monster, you can special summon this as an effect monster, a level 4 Dark Machine with 2400 attack and 2000 defense. This is treated as a trap card. While this card is in the main monster zone, once per turn, you can target a monster on the field and destroy it, then inflict effect damage equal to the destroyed monster's attack. If this card is targeted by a card effect, you can banish this card until the end phase. While you control another central monster, this card cannot be targeted for attacks. Ooh, that's funky. This Vog stays just so your opponent has to stare down their defeat. Yeah, hey. See, seems like a pretty good idea to fill them with dread, to see their impending doom, and knowing they can do nothing to stop it. Okay, so Longshot is interesting. So you summon it. It gets to beef a card every turn. Hit your opponent with damage. And it itself is a pretty strong monster to attack with. The temporary banish effect is interesting. Because what's going to happen is it gets targeted. It's going to chain its effect. It will banish itself until the end phase. It'll return to the field in the monster zone. But because the effect that made it a monster isn't applying, it'll go directly to the graveyard. I believe is how that works with trap monsters. Someone double check me on that one. I mean, it gets the monster into the graveyard. I know monsters remember a lot of things when they're banished, but I don't think a trap card remembers that it used its effect to summon itself as a monster. So I'll need someone to double check me on that one. Next up is Central Beast Behemoth. A continuous trap card. If you have 4 central continuous trap cards, a Central Beast trap card, and a Dark Warrior Pendulum monster, you can special summon this as an effect monster, which is a level 5 Dark Machine with 3000 attack and 1500 defense that is still treated as a trap card. When this card attacks or is attacked by a monster, this card gains attack equal to half of the other card's current attack until the end of the battle phase. When this card destroys a monster by battle, increase this card's attack by the level, rank, link rating times 100, I assume, of that monster. Wow, the activation conditions on these are steep. Not only do you need the Dark Warrior Pendulum, you need to have 3 continuous central traps for Longshot, and then 4 continuous traps and a Central Beast trap, just to get Behemoth on board. Granted, though, pretty big stats for it. Pretty good effects. It's going to win almost any combat encounter it runs into. Unless it's fighting something with 6,100 attack points specifically, and that gets more difficult the longer this survives because it's going to keep gaining attack power. Woof. Alrighty. That's everything on the list I was given, but we still have plenty of cards left, and we still have some time. Let's go ahead and see what more knowledge we can glean from this archetype while we're here. Okay. Central Sentry. Yes, I made its name this as a joke. Excellent. Central Sentry is a continuous trap card with the best name out of all of them. Once per turn, it's a continuous trap. Once per turn, you can special summon this as an effect monster, a level 7, so, Magnum Opus. Dark Machine, 1,000 attack and defense. When this card is special summoned this way, inflict effect damage equal to the amount of trap cards in your graveyard times 100 to your opponent. If this card is targeted by an effect while in the spell and trap zone, you can special summon this card. If this card is targeted by an effect while in the spell and trap zone, you can special summon this card. When summoned by this effect, inflict effect damage equal to the amount of central cards on the field times 200. At the start of the end phase, set this card face down in the spell and trap zone. Is this one of those situations like with Big Shield Gardena where it's supposed to be able to activate while face down? Like if this is still in the back row and your opponent goes, I'm going to activate Cosmic Cyclone to hit your Central Sentry, and you're all like, I don't think so. Activate in response. It's also pretty nifty if it's just like set and your opponent tries to get rid of it before it can activate itself. That would be like another effect that could be used in response. I don't know how that would work. I'm very curious about what happens when we give trap cards the Big Shield Gardena text. Anyway, next up is Central Standoff. If you control it's a normal trap card. If you control at least one Luckstar Synchro monster, add a Shoal monster from your deck to your hand. There we go. Luckstars were a previous archetype that we covered. I'm going to be honest. That one is one that I have not. I do not remember, so I might need a reminder on Luckstars. But this does mean that we can play those in the deck to grab Shoal, which is the pendulum monster that we need to activate our Central Beasts. Example, if Sentry is targeted by MST, the second effect would happen. Yeah. So that's what's like, I don't know if tripping up is the right word, but that's what I think is interesting, because if you've activated this already and it's being summoned, this isn't going to be in the spell and trap zone, so you can't use it. I guess if you activate the first effect to summon it, and then your opponent chains to it with a targeted effect, you can then chain this to special summon it even sooner and then get the burn damage. But does it work if it's just set and your opponent chains to it? Luckstar, synchro monsters that depend on rolling a die. Hell yeah. We love those Joey Wheeler mechanics. Okay, tips and tricks really quickly. We've got 2 minutes. Let's blitz through this. So, you can use the effect of Central Virus Spreader from Part 1 to turn your opponent's monsters into machine types, then use Central Beast Magnum Opus to attach that monster as an Xyz material holdup. Target one machine. It's, wow, we can take our opponent's monsters. Incredible. Uriah, just Uriah in general. Since almost every card is a continuous trap card, Uriah will be huge, and you can special summon Uriah to reach the requirements of most of the Central Beast monsters much easier. Makes sense. Added another card for Central Strike Part 1 that can cheat Central Beasts into the graveyard, so Magnum Opus can attach it to get its board wipe effect and help fulfill the conditions for Zugzwang. That is true. Even though these are difficult monsters to summon, we can just put them under Magnum Opus and get their effects that way. Holy cow. If your opponent summons Jinzo, just surrender. There's nothing in this archetype that can stand against a single tribute monster from the 4th or 5th Yu-Gi-Oh set ever made. I don't know. If we can get Magnum Opus on board. Jinzo is a machine monster by itself, so, slorp. WinCon, Magnum Opus to beat down and mass clearing. If Magnum Opus is destroyed, that's where Zvugjvang becomes the alternate WinCon. Lore, Spark Notes edition, because I tried writing it out and at the halfway point it was about 2 pages long. So to save, here's the short version. Luckstar Commander Grimm defeated Central Guardian Defender. Central Beast Longshot is the second Central Beast to be activated, which is defeated by Luckstar Commander Striker. As the Luckstars arrived at Shoal's base, Central Beast Behemoth and Sentry are both activated. Behemoth is eventually defeated by Luckstar Captain Anne. After defeating the third Central Beast, the fourth and final Sentry is activated, Magnum Opus. Magnum Opus is able to have the fallen parts of the other Central Beasts combine with it, and upon doing so, it releases the scrap pieces of the fallen Sentry Beast. Fires all the parts, defeated most of these Luckstars, but is eventually defeated by the Luckstar Commanders. The only remaining Luckstars enter Shoal's base, where Shoal activates his final plan, Zvugjvang, a device that will freeze the entire planet for 1,000 years. Upon activating Zvugjvang, Shoal's anger fades away, knowing his final plan is in motion, but hears a faint, quiet voice in his head. Viera's voice. Upon hearing it, he whispers for forgiveness. As the Luckstars try to stop the device, they are unable to, and the device fires a chilling blast, freezing everyone and everything in the world. Oh no! Oh, it worked! Oh, wow. Talk about getting Trishula, my god. Final fun fact, Zvugjvang is a chess term where you have no choice but to make terrible moves. Oh, that's painful. Oh, that's painful. And it ties back to the Chessians from previous parts. No! No! It's painful. Alright, well, thanks for hurting me again, a random pup. Jeez. Okay, well, I think I've just got to move on to the Nova scale now. I think I've read everything that I can about this one without breaking down crying. So, novelty. So, Central Beast Magnum Opus is reminiscent of Dingirsu. It's a big rank 7. I guess Dingirsu is an 8, but, 1 or 2 numbers off. It's a big Xyz monster. It absorbs machines. But this one goes in a bit of a different direction, where instead of being a defensive powerhouse, while also being a nice bit of removal, it is also removal, but burns that material for that instead, so it's repeatable. It absorbs cards. It's very good against machine matchups where it can take our opponents, vis-a-vis Cyber Dragon Infinity. So that's a pretty cool monster to build around. It's like a different flavor of Dingirsu, and I enjoy it. We got our trap cards. The trap monsters give effects to Magnum Opus, so it's also kind of like a Towers-esque card where we're building it up. Zvugjvang is a goofy auto-win condition. I think our novelty rating here is going to be about a 3. I like some of the ideas here. This is a fairly unique idea to play around with on that one. So yeah, I think that's about warranted. Objectivity. I know we ran into a few clerical errors when it comes to things like specifying the level of the Xyz material. We got effect here for normal. Power level wise, I'm not factoring in Zvugjvang. That's like I said previously, that's an auto win condition, but I don't imagine this being activated fairly consistently, if at all. The Central Beasts themselves are heinously difficult to summon because of how many cards you would need to get on board, meaning that they're largely going to be used as material for Magnum Opus. Central Sentry is pretty good all by itself. It just gets you a monster. It can deal burn damage. It's level 7 for all your level 7 needs. I think our objectivity is a 4. I think it's fairly balanced. None of these cards are going to be particularly super powerful. Versatility, like we said previously, Central Beast Magnum Opus requiring level 7 monsters does curb its usage. I'm having problems thinking of good level 7 machine monsters that we could use with this. that are outside the scope of the central beasts. Though, if we do have a lot of monsters like Central Sentry that are easy to summon level 7 trap monsters, then that becomes a non-issue because we just have to delay a turn and we can make it ourselves for the theme. But when it comes to splashing into others, that's a little out there. Maybe there's some kind of rank up magic you can do with it, but I don't know what it would be. I think it's about a 2 in versatility. There are some trap card decks that might run some of these as just these are a big body that we can use for like mixing with things like Statue of Anguish pattern. That's another level 7. It wouldn't help make Magnum Opus, but it would be another level 7 to make generic level 7s. Yeah. Despite everything, I don't know if it's super splashable in a lot of things, despite being a dark machine. Because a lot of the monsters themselves are trap monsters, so they don't count as a lot of that support anywhere, except already on the field. But Awesomeness, despite everything, it does come with some absolutely ridiculous lore. We've been going through this for months now, seeing the slow decline of Shul, being betrayed by the country that was supposed to venerate him for all the things that he did, for all the stuff that they've lost. That doesn't seem fair. And while Zhvuggzwang is almost unplayable, I would say, it does have a huge amount of flavor, and I cannot deny how wicked that is. I gotta give it a 5. I love the work that's going in here. I love the story. I love the world building. I love the mechanics as storytelling. That's getting a 5, which means that this iteration is getting a 14 on the Nova scale. A random pup. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. I can see that there's a big story there that you care about that's being added onto this, and it really means a lot. That's the end of the Shoal story, at least for now. Either way, the Shoal story is taking a break. Yeah, I imagine after being frozen in a giant glacier, you might need to give it some time to rest. Alrighty, well, thank you again so much. That about does it for me. That is all of December's custom cards. Thank you all for showing up. Everyone who came by with RJ, thank you for sticking around. I super appreciate it. I think this is gonna be our... Yeah, this is the end of this one. We're gonna aim to stream on Tuesday. I'm not sure what we're gonna do. We had to skip Prague polls this week, so we don't need to make any polls. So maybe we won't even stream on Tuesday. I've got to get some catch up on some videos. I know that Wednesday's video, I haven't even started scripting yet, and it's gonna be a big one because I said at the beginning of December when we got to 60K that I was gonna do a 60K subscriber special, and it's a very important one for me in particular because it's piloted by a character whose name has haunted me since the beginning of time. So, I'm going to get started on working on those videos. Keep an eye out on the channel, and to help out with that, let me go ahead and type those socials in here. Ba-ba-ding, ba-ba-doom, ba-ba-ding. Boom, there we go. You can find my YouTube channel where I post all my usual stuff. Living Lore of Dual Terminal Episode 5 just came out. It would mean a lot to me if you would go by the channel and give it a watch. I love the Dual Terminal Lore episodes. They're my favorite things to make here, and I'm pretty proud of what we were able to cook together for this episode. My Twitter's there if you want to keep up with all my stuff. Discord is there if you want to hang out with everyone. And, of course, my Patreon is there. If you're here, you've probably heard my spiel, but just to make sure for everyone, a Patreon is a great way to help support creators that you love, whether it is me, whether it's RJ, whether it's anyone that you enjoy watching on the internet. Supporting them directly means that they get a little extra freedom, and they get to move a little bit away from the ad revenue cycle that YouTube traps a lot of us in there. You can really help with all of our creative processes, but of course, if you can't, please do not feel like I want you to be shamed or anything. You just being here and choosing to watch, as opposed to doing literally anything else in this wild world, does truly mean a lot to me. I'm just a guy here looking at other people's cards, talking out of my butt, and enjoying all of their stuff. So I'm glad that you want to be here and enjoy that with me. Thank you, Commander, for sticking by and watching us have some good fun. And now, with all of my sappy comments finished, it's time to send all of you over to someone. Who were we sending over to? There are a ton of cool people streaming right now. Junk is playing some Master Duel. Yeah, they're looking at replays. They're doing viewer duels. Firmth, the Baphomet VTuber, is playing Ghost Trick. Very fun game. Very wonderful little game. Oh, I don't know who to send to. Oh, I do not know who to send to. Let's go ahead and go to... Oh, Gutter Snipe is streaming. What's Gutter Snipe doing? Oh, we'll just go over to Junk. We'll go over to Junk. Junk is cool. There you go. Boom. I got it. All right, folks. Send Junk all of your best. Give him your energy. Show some support. And as always, I will see you next time we cross paths in this wild, chaotic world. Thank you all so much again for sticking around. Bye-bye.